Hello, I'm Alexandra J. Johnson with the Entheos Academy for Optimal Living. Today I'm chatting with Terri Cole on her course, Live Your Truth, Love Your Life. Terri is the founder of Live Fearless and Free. She is also a licensed psychotherapist and an expert in transforming fear into freedom. If you like this video and this interview, you can sign up for her course below. Enjoy. Hello, Terri. It's so great to be chatting with you today.
Well, hello, Alexandra J. Johnson.
Ooh, the full name.
This is very proper today.
You're looking very beautiful today.
Why, thank you. Could be the
Glowing.
dim in here.
So I'm very excited to talk to you about your course today. And Live Your Truth, Love Your Life. That is like the best course title ever. Love it. I want to start off with, what is truth? Can you just share what that is and what that's going to be about in the course?
Mm-hmm. Truth. We all have our own truth about what is happening for us, what is real. We don't live it. So when I say truth, I'm asking a client, how do you actually feel? And they say, but I have to do that thing. You may have to, but I'm still asking you, how do you feel? And so when I hear about truth, what I think of is your internal life. Does the internal life that you have, what you say in your head, what rolls around in your mind, does that match your outside life? So do your internal life and your external life, are they super far apart? And if they are, then we know that you're not living your truth. And I find that truth itself to be something that is very hard for my clients over the years to understand. If I say, well, how do you really feel about that? They'll say things like, well, it doesn't matter because I can't do that anyway because, my sister died and,
Yeah.
And what people don't understand is that it is absolutely mandatory to know your truth. And that I'm much less interested in the truth. Right? People, scientists like to talk a lot about the truth, right? I'm more, the truth I'm interested in and the truth that I know about is interpersonal truth. Mm-hmm. And because I've been a therapist for 15 years in New York and LA and all over the world, actually, I know exactly what it looks like when someone is not living their truth, and even more so when they don't even know their truth. And the way that women especially talk all the time and say things that are not truthful, but they're so conditioned to believe, well, he did this and I was really annoyed, but it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. And I always say, why? Those things don't go together.
Right.
You just told me something that upset you, but then you said it was fine. Which one of those is true? Well, okay, it really upset me. Okay. Then stop minimizing it and erasing it and having a do-over by saying it's fine. Mm-hmm. And so part of the truth that we'll be handling in the course, which is a big part of what I do in my practice, is about speaking the truth and what that looks like and how challenging it can be for men and women.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm very curious on the speaking your truth and knowing your truth, and then where does it fall into like being a victim, and then also like being kind of a creator and creating your life? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. With victims, people who really are in a victim psychological place, a victim mentality, if they have been like that, and most people have been like that all of their lives, we have to talk about the secondary gain that comes from being a victim. Right? Even though the first stuff looks terrible, right? You say somebody is mean to you, you have a job the boss is abusive, you have a boyfriend who hits you, like none of that looks like anybody would want that. Mm-hmm. But in therapy, we talk about secondary gain as there must be something in there that is either familiar or that you're drawn to. It reminds you of the way your father behaved, so you're afraid, the child in you is afraid to get out of a bad business situation because you haven't figured that out yet. So you're staying for other reasons, right? So I always try to kind of go through the layers of what is that? how do you find your truth is really, was that the question? Is that what we're coming back to?
Yeah,
Or
just because I was just wondering the victim, and because it seems like sometimes speaking your truth kind of can be, blaming people.
mm-hmm. It's a very, very good point, Alexandra. Here's the thing about speaking the truth and the way to speak it. I work a lot with nonviolent communication, but I also work with my clients. I have a whole way that I teach people effective and empowered communication. And it absolutely never involves blaming another. Because it's impossible. Fact number one, you are the sole responsible party for your life. You are the architect and the engineer. If you don't like it, you have the power to redraw it, to knock it down, to change it. So when we get into, well, if the person at the office didn't keep me talking so long, I wouldn't be sitting in traffic now, and now I'm going to be late to this thing, but it's really their fault. It really isn't. If you were going to be late, you should have just said, I need to go. Hold that thought till tomorrow. I can't be late for this. And you would have turned around and you would have missed the traffic and you would have made it. These are all choices. So having someone keep you in the office yapping your ear off, your choice, because you thought it would be rude to duck out early, what ends up happening is that now what happened from that one little inauthentic interaction? Mm-hmm. Now you're bitter. Now you probably like that person in the office less. Now you're probably going to tell like 5 other people the story of how the yacker that they all know she talks too much and that's why, and she never lets you leave. She's got nowhere to go. Gossip, bullshit, negative, bringing it all down. All 100% avoidable. And 100% does not serve you, the person. Mm-hmm. And it's fear that makes us do this. This is, I mean, if we get into the disease to please, if we can.
Yeah, I was very curious about that. So yes.
Moving into it. The disease to please was actually a phrase coined by a therapist in the 80s who died. I mean, she has a book out of the same name, and right now her name is eluding me, but I always write about it, and I always give her credit because I didn't create the name. Mm-hmm. That's her thing. She stopped writing about it in the 80s, but what I found amazing is that I found this book because I came up with the disease to please, and then I looked and saw there already was it. So I was like, oh, well, that's cool, and I read that. Her name is Harriet Barden, I believe it is. And the book was so interesting to me because I had a full throttling practice at that time, and I had so many clients who had the disease to please. And so what is the disease to please? I'm just going to break it down. When you say yes and you really want to say no, that's an indication of the disease to please. When you say you're sorry, well, not only are you not sorry, like the guy who bumped into you on the subway, and you end up going, oh, sorry. But when, in every other area where you are really not sorry, we use the words I'm sorry as like social KY. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Or we could say it nicer, a social lubricant, but that's totally inauthentic.
Yeah.
Right? When we don't confront people because we're afraid, even though we have something to say. And the last part of the disease to please is if we put everyone else's needs above our own. And we think that that's noble. And we think that that's being loyal. And we think that that's what a mother, a wife, a sister, a friend, a partner, that's what they do. That's being nice, you know? Mm-hmm. But what ends up happening is then you end up not being so nice. Because all of that doing crap you don't want to do takes its toll, and it takes its toll as resentment towards that person. Mm-hmm. And the last and final PS I'm going to say on that is that we're socialized, especially women are socialized. Men too, because my nieces and nephews and sons have impeccable manners, and I expect them to be nice. Mm-hmm. I expect them to have impeccable manners. I do not expect them to be nice if that is not what is called for.
Yeah.
But there's this misunderstanding of being nice is when someone asks you to do something, you say yes. It's only being nice if you want to do it, and then you will follow through and do it, right? It is not real acts of niceness. What do they look like? They look like if you have an old neighbor and you get their snow away from them, you get rid of their leaves for them, you check in on them. When you go shopping, you bring food so they don't have to go out that week. That's authentic acts of generosity and kindness. That's real. Saying yes when every fiber of your body wants you to scream at the top of your lungs, no, is not being nice. It is actually just lying. Mm. And so when we take it out of that context, it's a lot more helpful because we misuse words, we misname words a lot in our society. But I find that with this type of work, I've been really successful at breaking it down to what it really is. And how much happier and healthier my clients became as they cured themselves of the disease to please. Mm-hmm. So we would do this whole thing, and we'll do it in the group as well, where you just 3 days, you basically make a note of every time you've done any one of those things, you write it down. Mm-hmm. And you start to have, in black and white, what you are actually doing in your life, how you are actually showing up. Are you doing it because your heart says it's the right thing? And if you were, then you will have gratitude, equanimity, and love pouring off of you? Or do you do it because this neighbor's a pain in the ass and is demanding, and you just don't want to hear it, but you're constricted like this, doing it, and you're, oh, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we don't ever want to do it that second way, because what else does that do to us, right? Mm-hmm. It does other things. We're all energy. This isn't like, woo-hoo, that's a nice fantasy. We are made up of energy because we are molecules moving super fast. Feelings, it's scientifically proven that feelings create a vibration. And so all of what we talk about in this course, and why either one of us as clinicians are interested in living your truth and loving your life, is that in living authentically, you're rising, making your vibration higher. And what you find is that you will then be drawing to you life experiences and have less frustration in your life. But you'll also be living in this way that's real, that's actually real. We stop the whole writing scripts about what other people think of us, what other people are saying. She said this. You know, I've gotten to a point in my evolution in my life that I'm not kidding, I'm like 97% unoffendable. Even if you want to offend me, it's not possible.
That's pretty awesome.
Because I know that you wanting to offend me, if it was you or anyone else, that's about you. Mm-hmm. So another part of being authentic is keeping your side of the street clean. We talk about that as well. Mm-hmm. That would be part of what we cover in the course. And it was shocking to my clients when we went through everything and what I put on their side of the street and what went on other people's streets, that they thought was all on their side of the street.
Yeah.
Wow. Really? That's all I got to do? I'm like, yeah. But you have to tolerate the way it makes you feel in the beginning as you're changing to not do all of those other things.
Right. Yeah, that's so intense too, right? I mean, I was just thinking about it, the courage that it takes to actually live your truth. I feel, I mean, I've been on the process for a long time, but I can feel it in my throat, and I feel it for people who actually have the courage to kind of like move forward and speak it. It's like, oh, that's huge and awesome and amazing, but it takes something.
You know what? It does, but it's not as bad as you think. Like I can only say from my own, because hello, I wasn't born like this, trust me. No matter what Lady Gaga says, I was not born like this. I was born in New Jersey, and I grew up in a family where manners were very important, and there's 4 sisters, and it took going through the process and being in therapy and learning why I was doing those things, and we're all driven by unresolved stuff from our childhood and whatever. And this course, we're not going to hardcore be getting into it, but we are going to be doing laser coaching for people. So people will have an opportunity to get their specific situation handled. Mm-hmm. Some some space, will be holding space for that for sure, because I feel like it would be a crime to have two clinicians in a room and not let somebody get lasered, right? I mean, it's so awesome. But it is a journey. And at the first time that I distinctly remember, because that's how scared I was to do it, and I was an agent at the time, a talent agent, and I had to confront someone who was in a big position of power over me. And I was shaking and sweating, but I did it. And I did it probably messily, like falling with like snots coming out of my nose. Like, I don't know what I look like. Like, I knew it wasn't pretty. I was hoping, God, I hope it gets better as you do this, right? Maybe you become more graceful. But I was so liberated when it was done. And it changed me. Because I had the epiphany, right? It's okay. And then I realized, because I was only in my early 20s then, as the more and more I did it, spoke my mind, even when it wasn't popular, disagreed with people in power, absolutely respectfully, appropriately, diplomatically, and politely, because that is how I'm wired. Mm-hmm. But there are different things, right? So being polite is not saying something if you really need to say it. Yeah. And especially where I was in a business where it was like the modeling business, and there was a lot of things that went on in that world with young girls who were under it, just things that I had a lot to say about, and I was super concerned, and it was super unpopular. I wouldn't drink the Kool-Aid and eat the cup. Everyone was so pissed. Yep. That I was the person who was always being like, hi, the chaperone snorting coke. The chaperone, they're all living with her, but she is a cokehead, so can we get someone that, yeah, we're working on it. I was like, but you can't actually work on it, because actually it's against the law, because they're minors, and so, and I'm sure, it did not make me popular in that particular agency, but I didn't care because I couldn't see it happening and not do something. Hello, this mother entrusted her 14-year-old to you. What are you doing? So, it gets better, was my point of that whole long story. And that the more you do it, it really aligns you with your authentic self. Because when your words become aligned with how you feel. And there's learning to be done by that. And that is that's a big piece of this. And I'll probably be heading that up. About nonviolent communication is one theory that I use. That's one kind of exercise. But because I've been doing this for so long with this type of communication, you're literally only talking about changing like 3 words. And the person who would normally be like, will be like, hey, what? And I could totally get that. I really know what you mean. And you're only talking about this much of a shift in saying, this was my experiences. I'm making a simple request. This is what I would like. I find with my clients, even my evolved clients, it's very, very hard not to want to say, you did this. This is what you did, and you made me feel this. Okay, no. Nobody makes you feel anything. They really don't. You just do. So there may be an event, a precipitating event, but as soon as you say you made me feel, you're putting the responsibility of your feeling onto this other person, which is very unempowering place for you to be. Yeah. And actually completely inaccurate, because it's not even possible. The person does not have the power to make you feel anything unless they like punch you in the arm and they make you feel pain. Yes, okay. But I'm talking about emotionally. Right. So we'll sort of be handling in the course ways to effectively communicate, which puts you in a much better position to get what you want in life. Learning how to let go of old patterns, because that's so much of why we don't live authentically. But it's always been like this. Yeah. So I always go home at the holidays with my hugely alcoholic family and pretend that I have fun, because even though I cry when I'm done, right? Mm-hmm. Well, no, I don't do that anymore. I was at my house with my husband this year on Christmas and had literally the best day of watching movies. But I only got healthy enough to say, I can completely rewrite my script, flip your script at any point about anything. And that we think people will flip out because the child in us is like, oh man, I'm in trouble. Mm-hmm. Home for Christmas. Oh, Christmas is going to blow up. something really bad is going to happen, because the little kid always thinks someone's going to die, you know?
Mm-hmm.
The grown-up is like, oh, there was this much pushback, and I'm a way grown-up person. And so my pushback was, I understand that you would like me to come, and I appreciate that. But this year, I'm not going to.
Mm.
So let's make a plan when I get back from wherever, and it's all okay. But that's how you're authentic in your life. You don't subject yourself to toxic situations, even if it's what you've always done. You don't have to.
Yeah.
Or you can go and stay for a short period of time. But you decide, and that changes your entire life.
Mm-hmm.
When you really dial into the power of your intention, which is really what this course is about, you make the impossible possible.
Amen. Beautiful.
Yes.
Woo! So great. It's awesome. I have goosebumps. I'm so, so excited. Thank you so much for sharing all of your wisdom, and looking forward to the class.
Oh my God, so excited. Can't even take it. And we're going to be, we're doing a Facebook group.
Tell me the facebook.com.
I don't know it yet, but
Okay.
by the time we get together, I'll have it, because she's doing it right now. It's going to be Facebook Live Your Truth or something like that. And then we're going to invite all of our friends who are on there's about 300 people who are on the call where we were talking about this content, and all seem to be really lit up about it.
Right.
We're just going to invite, everyone can come. And as anyone who knows Entheos knows that, money should really not be an object, because there are pay what you can options. So really no one is excluded from this work. And so if money has been your excuse in the past to not do something amazing for yourself, that excuse is gone, my friend. So if you need a scholarship, you tell us. We want you there no matter what.
Yeah. Bring it.
Don't bring it.
That's awesome. Cool. Well, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.